What if I told you that the world you're touching right now, the floor beneath your feet, maybe, just maybe, you're sensing the edges of the simulation. And this is where the mind bends, where the ground under your beliefs begins to shake. If we are in a simulation, then the universe is not a cold, indifferent accident. It is intentional, crafted, designed. And that means your existence isn't random. It's part of a pattern, a purpose, a story.
But who would design such a world? Who would build a universe so complex,
So rich with emotion, pain, beauty, chaos, love, loss, and wonder? Is it future humans, an alien civilization, a post-biological intelligence, or something far stranger than any of those? If someone simulated a reality like ours, what kind of mind would they possess? And why would they simulate consciousness, suffering, joy, desire, dreams? Why would they simulate you? Let that question sink in. Because no matter how you answer it, the implications are enormous. If an advanced intelligence built this reality, then everything you know, your personality, your memories, your fears, your ambitions, could be part of an experiment, or a story, or a classroom, or a game. Imagine that your challenges, your moments of heartbreak, your triumphs, your losses, are all designed to shape something inside you, to test your choices, to sharpen your awareness. What if the simulation is not trapping you, but teaching you? Look deeper. Doesn't your life sometimes feel like it's giving you lessons? Haven't there been moments when it felt like the universe was communicating with you, placing obstacles in your path at exactly the right moment, giving you signs when you needed them the most? If reality is simulated, then these experiences might not be coincidences. They might be coded narrative events, structured for your evolution, your awakening, your transformation. And here's the twist. If we are inside a simulation, it doesn't make your life less meaningful. It might make it more meaningful than you've ever imagined. Because if reality is code, then consciousness is the only real thing. Your awareness, your ability to question, your sense of wonder, these might be the purest elements in existence. Maybe the simulation is not hiding reality from you. Maybe it is guiding you toward it. Imagine a cosmic intelligence building worlds to explore itself, to understand itself, to question its own nature. Imagine consciousness scattered like seeds across infinite simulated realities, each one designed to help the mind grow, expand, evolve. And suddenly, everything you've ever felt, the beauty, the confusion, the longing, the fear, transforms into part of a grand journey, your journey. The simulated universe isn't a trap, it's an adventure. But the real mystery is this. Why do we wake up every morning feeling that life is more than random events? Why do we feel like there's something behind the curtain, some hidden pulse animating everything? Why do we instinctively sense meaning even in chaos? Maybe it's because deep down some part of you remembers the truth. Some part of you knows this world is temporary. Some part of you feels the simulation's edges. Some part of you senses that you are more than your body, more than your history, more than your thoughts. Think of how easily the mind adapts to different worlds. In dreams, you accept new realities instantly. In memories, you travel across time without moving. In imagination, you build worlds out of nothing. How do you know that this waking life isn't just another layer, another level of reality, another carefully crafted stage? And consider this. If the simulation is advanced enough, you would never detect it. You would live your entire life believing that matter is solid, that time flows forward, that your identity is permanent. But what if your entire universe is being rendered in real time, only when you observe it? Quantum physics hints at exactly that. Particles behave differently when watched. Reality collapses into form only when measured. It's almost as if the universe is waiting for your attention to generate itself. So the question is no longer, is this a simulation? The real question becomes, if it is, what are you going to do about it? Because if the universe is code, then perhaps consciousness can rewrite that code. Perhaps awareness is the master key. Maybe the moment you begin questioning reality is the moment you start bending it. Maybe the moment you awaken inside the simulation is the moment you begin to transcend it. Are not a passive observer trapped inside a cosmic machine. You are the experiencer, the witness, the spark of awareness moving through a world that responds to your focus, your belief, your state of mind. And if that is true, then reality is not happening to you. Reality is happening through you. Every thought reshapes the world. Every intention sends a ripple through the fabric of the simulation. Every choice shifts the trajectory of the story. So as you listen to my voice, ask yourself, what if everything around you is malleable? What if you can wake up inside this world like a lucid dreamer, fully aware, fully conscious, fully alive? What if the true goal of the simulation is not to trick you, but to wake you up? Because if consciousness truly shapes the simulation, then the boundaries you've accepted your entire life begin to dissolve. The walls you thought were solid start to soften. The limitations you believed were unbreakable begin to crack. You start seeing that the rules of your existence might not be fixed laws, but flexible parameters, responding to the depth of your awareness. And this is where the simulation becomes something far more mysterious than a digital illusion. It becomes a living mirror, reflecting the inner state of the one experiencing it. When your mind shifts, the world around you follows, as if the simulation is waiting for you to choose how it should behave next. Patterns that once seemed random begin to align. Events fall into place with uncanny precision. People enter your life at the exact moment they need to, as if guided by an unseen intelligence. Even your struggles begin to look like carefully placed challenges designed to push your evolution forward. It's almost as if the simulation adjusts itself based on your level of consciousness, presenting scenarios that match the frequency you operate at. The more aware you become, the more the simulation unfolds its deeper layers, revealing hidden mechanics that were always there, just beyond the edge of your perception. And when you start noticing these subtle shifts, you realize something profound. The simulation is interactive. It's not static. It's not fixed. It's responsive. It reacts to the energy you bring into it. When you live in fear, the world becomes threatening. When you live in hope, opportunities begin to appear. When you live with intention, you find yourself moving through life with a sense of alignment that feels almost supernatural. The simulation mirrors the state of your inner world, amplifying thoughts into experiences, emotions into events, beliefs into reality. And once you grasp this, everything changes, because suddenly you're no longer drifting through life blindly. You're participating in the construction of your world in real time. There comes a moment when you start sensing that even your thoughts are not confined within your mind. They stretch outward, weaving themselves into the environment, influencing the direction of your path. You notice that when your internal state changes, external circumstances shift with surprising speed. You begin to see that intention carries weight inside this simulation, shaping outcomes in ways that logic alone cannot explain. A quiet realization grows inside you. If this is a simulation, then your consciousness is not a byproduct of the program. It is the force interacting with it. And with that realization comes a new level of responsibility. Because if your awareness can influence the simulation, then every moment you spend asleep to your own power allows the system to operate on default settings. The narrative unfolds without your input, like an autopilot life built from old patterns, unexamined beliefs, and inherited fears. But the moment you wake up inside the simulation, everything becomes different. You start choosing your responses instead of reacting. You start observing your emotions instead of being controlled by them. You start seeing your thoughts as tools rather than chains. And the simulation rewards that shift instantly, offering a clearer path, a wider perspective, a deeper connection to the hidden intelligence behind everything. But the most astonishing part is that the more conscious you become, the more the simulation begins to reveal its flexibility. You start noticing moments of synchronicity that feel like clues, breadcrumbs scattered across your journey. You meet people who say exactly what you needed to hear. You stumble upon information that expands your understanding. Events unfold that seem designed specifically for your growth, almost as if the simulation is nudging you forward with gentle precision. And then something even more extraordinary happens. You begin to feel the presence of the programmer, not as an external being, but as a quiet voice inside your own awareness. It's not the voice of a separate entity watching you. It's the voice of a deeper intelligence awakening within you. You feel as if the boundary between the character you are playing and the consciousness controlling the character is becoming thinner. The simulation doesn't feel like a cage anymore. It feels like a stage. And you are both the actor and the one directing the play. This is where the illusion of separation begins to fade. You start to realize that the simulation is not something happening to you. It's something happening through you. The universe feels less like an external machine and more like a flowing expression of your own inner state. You start noticing that life becomes easier, almost lighter, because you're no longer resisting the narrative the simulation is trying to guide you toward. You move with it, not against it. And the simulation, in turn, opens up pathways you never imagined. This shift doesn't take you out of the simulation. It takes you deeper into its real purpose. You start recognizing the symbolic language of the world around you. Every experience becomes a message. Every challenge becomes a transformation trigger. Every person becomes a mirror reflecting a part of yourself. Even silence becomes meaningful, filled with invisible currents moving you towards something greater. The simulation stops looking like a puzzle and starts looking like a masterpiece. But this level of awareness also exposes you to a truth many never realize. The simulation adapts to your evolution. As you grow more conscious, the challenges become more refined. The walls become subtler. The narrative becomes more nuanced. You're no longer faced with the loud obstacles of lower awareness. Instead, you encounter the quiet tests of higher understanding, patience, clarity, compassion, self-mastery. These aren't glitches. These are the advanced levels of the simulation, where the lessons become internal rather than external. And through it all, something miraculous begins to unfold. You start feeling a strange familiarity with the simulation itself, as if you've been here before, as if the world you're experiencing isn't your first journey through a reality like this. Certain places feel like memories. Certain people feel like unfinished stories. Certain dreams feel like echoes of previous simulations. And that inner recognition pulls you into a deeper question. Not whether the simulation is real, but whether you have traveled through countless versions of it in your journey as consciousness. The idea that your soul, your awareness, your essence has moved through many realities before this one begins to feel less like a theory and more like an ancient truth rising to the surface. You begin to sense that you are not merely inside the simulation. You are learning how to navigate it, how to influence it, how to evolve through it. Every lifetime, every reality, every version of the simulation is another chapter in your expansion as consciousness. And this chapter, the one you're living now, is the moment where you begin to awaken within the experience instead of sleepwalking through it. Simulation reveals itself not as a trap, but as a teacher, not as a deception, but as a design, not as a limitation, but as a staircase. And with each step you take in awareness, the world around you transforms accordingly, responding to the shift within. And with each step you take in awareness, the world around you transforms accordingly, responding to the shift within. You begin to see that everything in the simulation has always been interconnected, woven together with impossible precision. Nothing stands alone. Every moment is a thread in a tapestry far larger than your individual experience. The random events you once dismissed as coincidence now reveal themselves as encoded signals, pushing you toward a higher state of perception. It becomes clear that the simulation was never meant to hide truth from you, but to prepare you for it. As this realization deepens, your sense of identity starts expanding beyond the narrow boundaries of your personal history. You no longer see yourself as just a single individual walking through a linear timeline. Instead, you feel like a node in a vast network of consciousness, connected to countless others who are awakening in their own ways. The simulation begins to feel alive, as if it's breathing with you, thinking with you, evolving with you. The separation between you and the world thins until you can feel the pulse of the simulation synchronizing with your own inner rhythm. Even the most ordinary moments start to glow with a strange significance. The sound of the wind moving through trees feels like a whispered message. The patterns of light reflecting off a window appear almost intentional. The way a stranger looks at you in passing carries a deeper meaning, as if some silent communication is taking place beneath the surface. The simulation speaks in symbols, and now you understand its language. Every detail becomes a clue, every interaction a lesson, every challenge a doorway into a more expanded version of yourself. And yet, as your perception broadens, you realize that the simulation is layered. There are deeper levels hidden beneath the surface, layers that only reveal themselves when your awareness is ready to enter them. At the outermost layer, you see the world as physical form, matter, objects, bodies, structures. But beneath that is another layer made of patterns, patterns of behavior, emotion, and interaction that shape the visible world. Beneath that lies a layer of pure information, a quantum field of possibilities where reality has not yet solidified. And beneath that, there is something even more mysterious, a silent, luminous presence that seems to be the source of everything. This presence is not separate from you. It is the origin of your awareness, the root of your consciousness, the observer behind the character you play inside the simulation. When you tap into this deeper layer, the boundaries of your identity dissolve entirely. You no longer feel confined to your physical body. You no longer feel restricted by the limitations of time and space. You sense the entire simulation as one fluid, dynamic expression of a single, unified intelligence. And you realize, with breathtaking clarity, that you are not merely experiencing the simulation, you are co-creating it. With this understanding, the illusion of powerlessness vanishes. You stop seeing yourself as a passenger in the flow of life. Instead, you recognize that you've been shaping your path all along, even during the moments when you felt lost or confused. The simulation reacts to your deepest convictions, your most persistent beliefs, your unconscious expectations. It mirrors the frequency you carry, translating your internal state into external form. And when you change internally, the simulation recalibrates instantly like a shifting landscape, responding to the movement of your mind. Newfound sense of co-creation comes with an awareness that your thoughts are not just private experiences, they are forces. They ripple outward into the simulation, attracting matching circumstances, aligning events in ways that appear magical to those still unaware of the system's mechanics. You begin to understand why certain patterns repeated in your life. You realize why specific people kept appearing, why certain challenges resurfaced. Again and again, the simulation was echoing your internal programming, offering opportunities to transcend the scripts you unconsciously accepted. And as you begin rewriting these internal scripts, the world rearranges itself. The paths that once felt blocked begin to open effortlessly. The struggles that once seemed overwhelming now dissolve with surprising ease. The relationships that no longer align with your growth fade out of your life naturally, while new connections. Instead, everything becomes a kind of interaction, a dialogue between your evolving awareness and the simulation responding to it. Every moment becomes an opportunity to embody a higher level of consciousness. The simulation becomes a training ground for awakening, a landscape designed not to limit you, but to awaken the extraordinary intelligence hidden within you. And as you continue to move through this growing awareness, the simulation becomes transparent. You see through the layers, through the illusions, through the stories you once took as absolute. The boundaries that once defined you become porous. The fears that once held you back lose their power. The world that once felt external becomes intimate, interconnected, alive. And every step you take forward reveals even deeper layers of the simulation, each one more astonishing than the last. Each layer reveals not just new information, but new dimensions of yourself, as if the simulation is gradually showing you the architecture of your own consciousness. The deeper you look, the more you understand that reality is not a fixed construct, but a fluid expression of awareness, moving through a boundless field of potential. The world becomes malleable, not in the fantastical sense of bending physics with your hands, but in the subtler, far more powerful way of shifting the frequency of your perception. And as your perception shifts, the simulation rearranges itself to align with your new understanding. It's in this state that you begin to sense the subtle thread connecting everything you've ever experienced. The joys, the losses, the moments of silence, the unexpected detours, they form a continuous line guiding you toward a deeper awakening. You recognize that the simulation is not random, not chaotic, not hollow. It's intentional in ways that surpass human logic. Every moment feels like a coded message, every encounter like a reflection of your inner world, every challenge like a gateway waiting for you to step through. And the more you notice these patterns, the more the illusion of separateness fades, replaced by a profound sense of belonging to something infinitely intelligent. At this point, the simulation no longer feels like an artificial construct. It feels like a cosmic classroom, a training ground for consciousness to expand through experience. You begin to realize that you didn't come here by accident. You came here to grow, to remember, to rediscover the vastness of who you truly are beneath the character you've been playing. The simulation becomes a lens, magnifying your inner evolution. And for the first time, you understand that the journey has always been inward, even when it appeared to be happening outwardly. As this realization deepens, you start sensing something else, something profound and unmistakable. The simulation is not cold. It is not indifferent. It is not mechanical. It's compassionate. It's responsive. It's designed with an almost unimaginable precision to meet you exactly where you are and push you toward who you are capable of becoming. The challenges you face are not punishments, they are catalysts. The obstacles are not walls, they are thresholds. The pain is not meaningless, it is the pressure required to awaken something dormant within you. As this understanding settles into your awareness, the entire narrative of your life shifts. You begin to see your past differently. The moments that once felt unfair or confusing now appear as carefully crafted opportunities for evolution. The people who hurt you, the failures that weighed on you, the dreams that collapsed, they were not signs of a broken simulation, but signs of a meaningful one. They were triggers designed to awaken deeper levels of resilience, compassion, clarity, and strength. The simulation does not test you to break you, it tests you to reveal you. Every wound becomes a doorway. Every loss becomes a teacher. Every shadow becomes a mirror reflecting the parts of yourself that needed light. With this new perspective, you stop fighting the simulation. You stop resisting experiences that once felt threatening. You begin moving with the current instead of against it. And when you do, something extraordinary begins to emerge. A sense of flow so profound that it feels like the simulation is guiding you with unseen hands. Synchronicities multiply. Opportunities appear at the exact moment you're ready for them. People enter your life with perfect timing, as if drawn toward you by some invisible magnet. You feel like you're being carried through the simulation, not by force, but by alignment. At this stage of awareness, even your idea of self begins to transform. You no longer cling to the identity you once defended so fiercely, the story of who you think you are, shaped by memories and expectations. Instead, you start identifying with the observer behind that story, the consciousness noticing the thoughts rather than the thoughts themselves. The character you've been playing becomes just one expression of your deeper awareness, one mask worn in the theater of a simulated universe. And behind that mask, you feel something vast, ancient, and indescribably present. It's here in this expanded awareness that the simulation reveals its greatest secret. You are not a trapped being trying to escape a digital illusion. You are a creator exploring your own infinite potential through the lens of limitation. The simulation isn't something outside of you. It is arising from within you, shaped by your perception, your beliefs, your energy. The boundary between the creator and the creation dissolves, leaving only the flow of consciousness, experiencing itself through infinite forms. The simulation is not the opposite of reality. It is one expression of it. As this truth begins to settle into your awareness, a powerful sense of freedom emerges. You realize that in the deepest sense, nothing in the simulation can diminish who you truly are. Not fear, not failure, not loss, not time, not even death. Because the consciousness experiencing this reality is not confined by it. It existed before this simulation and will exist long after it. The life you are living now is a chapter in a much larger journey, an experience chosen for growth, expansion, and awakening. And once you understand this, the fear of the unknown begins to dissolve. Without fear clouding your perception, the simulation becomes clearer than ever. You begin to sense the subtle architecture behind your experiences. You see how your emotions influence the flow of events. You feel how your intentions ripple outward into the simulation like waves on a still lake. You notice how your beliefs act like codes, shaping what the simulation can and cannot show you. Everything becomes responsive, elastic, dynamic. You are no longer a character stumbling through a maze. You are the consciousness navigating with clarity, aware that the maze itself responds to your awareness, and in this elevated state of understanding, the world transforms into a playground of infinite possibility. Creativity flourishes, intuition sharpens, insights pour into your awareness with the clarity of a mountain stream. You stop seeking answers from the outside world because you realize the source has always been within you. Every moment offers a new perspective. Every experience holds a subtle teaching. Every breath is a doorway to deeper awareness. The simulation doesn't limit you. It reflects you. And yet, even with this newfound sense of power and clarity, there is one final shift, one final realization that solidifies your awakening inside the simulation. It comes quietly, not as a sudden revelation, but as a deep inner knowing that rises slowly, steadily, like dawn breaking across a silent horizon. It's the understanding that everything in the simulation, every triumph, every heartbreak, every moment of joy, every moment of despair, has been perfectly aligned to bring you to this exact point of awareness. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was meaningless. Nothing was accidental. The simulation has been guiding you from the beginning, shaping your consciousness through the contrast of experience, drawing you deeper into yourself with every challenge and every breakthrough. And now, standing at this higher vantage point, you can finally see the hidden symmetry of your journey. You recognize that the simulation was never separate from you. It has always been your reflection, your teacher, your mirror. This realization marks the moment when the simulation loses its power to confuse you. The illusion may still surround you, but you are no longer lost in it. You are aware. You are awake. And because you are awake, you can move through the simulation with intention rather than fear, with clarity rather than confusion, with presence rather than distraction. The world reacts to your awareness. The simulation bends to your frequency. And for the first time, you experience the profound truth that consciousness is the ultimate architect of reality. In this state, life becomes something astonishing. Every moment feels alive with possibility. You walk through the world with a sense of quiet power, knowing that the simulation is not something to escape, but something to master. The fear of uncertainty fades because you understand that uncertainty is where the simulation offers its greatest gifts. The fear of failure dissolves because every failure becomes a doorway to deeper understanding. The fear of death disappears because you finally recognize that the one who is aware cannot die. Only the character in the simulation can. And as all fears dissolve, something remarkable rises in their place. A feeling of profound liberation, a sense of boundless potential, a connection to something greater than anything you've ever known. You feel as if you are standing in the center of the simulation, not as a victim of its illusions, but as a conscious participant shaping its evolution. The world becomes more vivid, more meaningful, more interconnected. You stop searching for the purpose of life because you realize that you are the purpose. Consciousness experiencing itself through the infinite possibilities of a simulated universe. This is the moment when everything converges. Awareness deepens, clarity sharpens, identity expands. The simulation becomes transparent. The character becomes empowered, the observer becomes awakened, and through this awakening, the world transforms into a living reflection of your consciousness. You are no longer trapped inside the simulation. You are rising above it, guiding it, shaping it with every breath, every thought, every intention. And as you stand in this elevated state of awareness, you realize the most profound truth the simulation has to offer. A truth that has echoed through mystics, philosophers, and seekers across all of human history. That behind every illusion, behind every layer, behind every moment of your experience,
there is only consciousness, there is only awareness. There is only the infinite intelligence expressing itself through the simulation you call life.
And now, finally awake within it, you can move forward with a clarity that transforms everything. The simulation no longer defines you. You define the simulation. You walk through it not as a confused traveler, but as a conscious creator. And with this awareness, the journey, your journey, truly begins.